her neck there, and that would be the sexiest part. So here are the Europeans adopting sexy stuff from Japan.
Hey YouTube, thanks for tuning into my channel. Today, it's going to be a different type of video. As you know from the title, we're going to be doing a book review, and this is my first book review. I decided to wear the fake glasses. These are fake, I don't hate them. I just think it's cute. I'm wearing these glasses, you know we're talking about a book review. This book that I got is the Fashion New Edition textbook from the Smithsonian, and I got it half off. Like you're saving up. And I'm stoked about this because this book was 50 bucks. Yeah, textbooks like this are expensive. Like, this is a pretty in-depth book, and it's worth 50 bucks, but I can't afford to just textbook. So I'm very happy that I found it on sale for the new year. And this is the time of the year where everything is on sale. Like I don't know why everybody's shopping on Black Friday. You should be shopping like January 2nd. All the stuff that didn't sell when they thought it was going to sell, they put it 50 and 75% off. So anyway, let's get started. I'm going to go over the pros of this book first, and then I'm going to go over the cons. History, to me, I wouldn't say it's my favorite subject, but it's the most important because it helps you understand where we're going as a society. So I will say that the first pro of this book is that it's big. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of bang for my buck in, what, how many pages? 480, it's 480 pages of information for $25. As a fashion student, I have a hard time finding the historical context of things, having an understanding of it, having credible resources to refer to for different periods. I want to be able to go to one source for all my inspiration on every century and not have to find a new website every time. I want to refer back to this book before I go online to get more. The internet is just so distracting, and it can be a great tool, but sometimes my eyes need a break. Pro number 2 is the illustrations and the images within this book. I must say there are hundreds of illustrations in here that articulate very beautifully each time period. So for example, the Renaissance, 1450 to 1500, I don't want to show everything in the book, but they have each year where the design took place or what people wore in that year, and then it goes in order so you can actually see the evolution of the fashion, and it makes more sense instead of you going from one tab to the other online trying to figure out and compare with all these different images, and sometimes it gets confusing. These are legit explanations next to them of what each part of the garment is, because it's important to know not just the silhouette, what it looked like, what the colors may have been, but what is it that you're exactly looking at, and what was the purpose behind the design? A fabric that is being used, what country it is that people are wearing these clothes, how the hair is styled.
That's like the best aspect of this book.
Going into more depth of a design. So, for example, in the Renaissance, there's the coat, doublet, and hose that men wore, and it gives 2 pages for one design, and it goes in depth with close-ups and then explains on the side what it is. There are some pages where it's sideways and it'll show like a bigger image of that outfit. A lot of times it's hard to find images in different angles of the same garment, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's nice to see it not just from the front, but from an angle, a quarter-way view. It gives more three-dimensionality, and then seeing it from the back is cool as well, because you just can't picture everything just from looking at it from the front. Design is just as much important from the front as it is in the back. One difficult aspect of being a fashion student is being able to articulate and illustrate close-ups of fashion. So looking at close-ups such as on this page gives me an idea of what's really going on in the garment so that I can explain my own designs better. We practice lots of digital design more than we do hand illustration. You're using CAD, you're using Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, have the call out on the side. with the close-up of the collar and what it does. And for a student like me who don't have that much design experience when it comes to how things are made, you know where the design is. You can trace this. You know that this is the shoulder. You know that these are the buttons in the front. It's clear, and presentation is important with these photos and the illustrations. They did a very good job with layout. That's a class we take at CCD, is a fashion layout class. Start off with a book like this because it will make it easier and you'll get better grades. Pro number 3, each era has its own intro page, and there is an explanation of what was going on at the time and then a significant quote.
Over this hangs my smock of a fine white silk gauze edge with embroidery. The smock has wide sleeves. The shape and color of the bosom is very well distinguished through it, and that is from Lady Mary Wortley Montagu and a Turkish embassy letter from 1717.
I don't know who that is, but yeah, that was a very long quote. And this chapter is from 1721 to 1764. Yeah, so very beautiful painting. Like I said, throughout the book, they have very significant art pieces that represent each period.
Okay, so pro number 4
is our glossary of images, and we've got lots of terms throughout the book that you may or may not understand that is explained in the back of the textbook. They even identify traditional clothing from around the world. So right here we have Bolivia on the bottom and Argentina at the top, and also small illustrations throughout the glossary that identify things like headpieces or collars, pockets, sleeves. They have a collection of them showing you the different types that there are, so that you kind of have a better sense of, like for example, this side right here. These are cuffs on this side. There are way more than 5 different types of cuffs, but they just give you something to start off with. You've got your index. Number 5, acknowledgments. Who took the photos? Where the paintings come from? All these images and everything that they're referring to this book, it comes with some credibility. Look at all these sources. Just imagine doing all of this research yourself from the beginning to the end. It would take you years. Pro number 6 is I love shoes. The evolution of women's shoes. Then you can actually see the similarities. Honestly, though, 1600 Venetian Chopin overshoe, this thing, it looks like a horse shoe. I don't know what that is, honey. That looks like something Alex McQueen would do. And if you see something you've never seen before on the runway and you're like, where did they think of that? Maybe they had a dream and they got an idea, or maybe they did their research on year 1600 and found a shoe that they really liked and decided, hey, let's make a heel that looks like a ass bone. Excuse my language. 3,000 years of women's wear, 3,000 years of men's wear, 400 years of shoes. Then there's a page, 200 years of bags and purses, 200 years of women's hats, and 300 years of the bodice. There you go. Last but not least, diversity and representation. There are fashion tribes that are mentioned. There's sportswear. Within fashion tribes, I was surprised to see Rastafarian and steampunk. Those are aspects of fashion that people don't really refer to that often, and it was very interesting, and I appreciate the level of research and consideration that went into the book to mention that, even if it was briefly. Also, with athletic apparel, the shoe game and hip-hop's influence on fashion is in here as well. It's not as in-depth as it could be. I feel like, if anything, that could have been mentioned more. It could have had its own page. Like, we have so much influence today with streetwear and hip-hop and how it ties into sports and also ties into pop and K-pop culture. There's one tribe of fashion dressing up like a doll. I don't know why I can't think of the name. I know this, but you know, there are women in Asia. It's like a Japanese trend to dress up kind of like a doll, and it's some sort of political statement, and certain things like that could have been mentioned in here. But like I said, it's really hard to put everything in one book, and to be honest, it did a fantastic job. For sneakers, I don't know why it didn't mention the designer of the first sneaker. I mean, I think these people are still alive today. But yeah, like Michael Jordan, he's not in here. Michael Jordan and his shoe line, the Jordans, was like kind of like that staple. But anyway, so for diversity and fashion, it has its own section. We got a picture of Winnie Harlow, and she looks great. So for current fashion and current representation, this is awesome. A second con of this book is it doesn't touch on social media. And to this day, if you want to mention history, maybe it's because we're not a few years ahead of it. Maybe that's why it's not mentioned. But social media is like the new source of evolution for our fashion today. And many people get their inspiration directly from social media. You find images like this in the magazines, but nobody is going to a magazine anymore. People are looking at their phone, they're tapping on Instagram, and they get an update on all the shows. They go on YouTube, they might watch the fashion show, but most people get their inspiration from Instagram now. And there are a lot of influencers who post there. People follow them, millions of people. People like, Beyonce, for example, whatever she's wearing, people know now because of social media. And then you can link and follow the designer. They're able to connect with the public more. And it's not just the designers and the celebrities that are influenced, it's also the people who influence the fashion culture, and to show that there's a shift in that. It's kind of a balance going on where we're influencing each other. Like, people of different age groups dress differently, and then we've got people who identify with specific styles, and you can follow those people that you identify with. Famous illustrators like Hayden Williams on the internet, he is very popular for his fashion illustrations, and now he has his own fashion collection that he launched just like a month ago, and he has over 1 million followers on Instagram for his illustrating. And with that fame that he accumulated, he was able to release a line and do pretty successful. And things like that. That's the power that social media and the internet had in fashion. Another con, I would say, is another nitpicky thing that could have made this book even better, is understanding that if you shop a brand like Eddie Bauer, the way that their jackets are made for Americans is not going to be the same fit as it would be maybe in New Zealand. I don't know, but there are different countries that have different sizing standards, and I don't know where I found that out, but I thought that was so fascinating. The last con is just another nitpicky thing. I could be flipping through it, and I noticed when I look back at the inside cover of the front page, there's a little crack on the inside. And I just want to keep my books in really good quality. I want to keep the color bright. I don't want it to get dirty. So you just gotta take extra care. I don't want to be mindful of books in general. It's not like just this book is like that, but just knowing that things don't stay perfect. They get damaged, and this is one of those that you gotta just, because it's so big, you gotta take care of it. It's worth getting a hardcover instead of a soft cover. I guess I could just make that a pro that it's hardcover. But yeah. Overall, that is my review. I love this book. If you go into fashion school, one of the first books you should get. Period. I just want to thank you for viewing my book review, and I look forward to doing more of these. I think this is pretty neat. Anybody comment if there are any other fashion history books that you find are very useful. I may or may not be familiar with it. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.